We're told we live in the best time in history. Technology at our fingertips, comfort in every corner, and endless choices laid before us. They say we're freer than ever. But if that's true, why does it still feel so empty? Imagine walking into a supermarket. Hundreds of cereal boxes line the shelves. Gluten-free, sugar-free, organic, chocolate-flavored, keto-approved. You stand there for minutes, comparing labels, thinking you're choosing freely. But pause for a second. Who decided these were your choices in the first place? You didn't grow the grains. You didn't design the boxes. You didn't even question whether cereal was the best way to start your day. You just walked in and picked from what was already chosen for you. This is the modern illusion of freedom. We're told we can be anyone, do anything, live however we want. But in reality, the freedom we're sold is like a children's menu. Colorful, limited, and pre-approved. We live inside invisible walls, decorated so beautifully that most of us never notice we're boxed in. You see it everywhere. In the jobs we're offered, in the clothes we wear, in the dreams we're told to chase. Want to be a poet? Sure. But can you survive without monetizing your art? The system whispers, be whoever you want, as long as it's profitable. Even our opinions live within boundaries. You can say whatever you want, until it makes someone uncomfortable, until it questions the structure itself. The window of what's acceptable keeps you feeling free, while quietly keeping you in line. We confuse variety with freedom. But freedom isn't having 50 brands of toothpaste. It's having the power to question why toothpaste is a billion-dollar industry at all. Real freedom is not in picking from what's offered. It's in realizing you can choose something else entirely. Yet most people never reach that point, because we've been trained to believe that choice equals control. And so we scroll, we shop, we chase, never noticing the hands that guide our attention. Consumerism sells freedom wrapped in packaging. You can pick your phone wallpaper, your coffee flavor, your fashion style. But step outside the unspoken rules of beauty, success, or productivity, and watch how fast that freedom disappears. The system smiles as it hands you 1,000 flavors of the same idea. Conform, but feel like you're choosing. Social media amplifies it. It promises a platform, a voice. But that voice is guided by algorithms that reward outrage, imitation, and superficiality. Say something real, and you'll be buried. Post something trendy, and you might go viral. That's not expression. That's performance. Even rebellion has been packaged now. Want to be a nonconformist? There's a brand for that. A hoodie, a playlist, an aesthetic. Modern rebellion isn't revolution. It's marketing. And that's the most dangerous part of the illusion. You feel like you're free. You feel like you're in control, never realizing the lanes were drawn long before you arrived. The illusion works because it rewards you just enough dopamine, just enough applause, just enough comfort to keep you from asking, wait, is this really freedom? True freedom doesn't live inside systems built to contain you. It lives in the questions you're not supposed to ask, the quiet defiance of looking up from the menu and realizing the meal was never yours to begin with. We are told we're living in the best time in human history. We have comfort, convenience, technology, and freedom. But deep down, something feels wrong. Something feels missing. We scroll through endless feeds, buy new gadgets, chase new goals. Yet the quiet emptiness stays. It's like running faster and faster on a treadmill that never stops. And the strangest part? Most people think this is normal. We mistake motion for meaning. We mistake stimulation for satisfaction. We live surrounded by noise, yet starved of purpose. Think about it. You wake up, grab your phone, check notifications. You scroll through updates, headlines, and highlights from other people's lives. By the time you look up, your mind is already crowded. Before the day even begins, the world has decided what should matter to you. Modern life isn't designed to make you free. It's designed to make you occupied. Every app, every ad, every system around you is built to keep you engaged, to keep you consuming, to keep you distracted just enough so you don't look too closely. And when you start to question it, when you pause long enough to notice the pattern, you'll see how deep the illusion runs. Freedom, as we know it today, is often just decoration. You can pick your job, your outfit, your favorite streaming service. But the choices that truly shape your life, those are already made for you. The education you receive, the news you read, the metrics that define success, they all come from systems that existed long before you did. You're free to choose within their walls. but you rarely get to choose the walls themselves. That's the quiet genius of modern control. It doesn't use force. It doesn't need chains. It simply gives you enough comfort to stop you from noticing the cage. The system doesn't want rebellion. It wants participation. It wants you to believe that you're in charge while it guides your every move. And most of us fall for it, willingly. We celebrate busyness like it's a virtue. We chase status like it's survival. We compare our lives to people we'll never meet. And we call that freedom. But freedom isn't about having everything. It's about seeing clearly. It's about knowing when you're being manipulated and choosing not to play along. Modern society rewards obedience disguised as ambition. You can climb the ladder as long as you don't question where it leads. You can find yourself as long as you do it through products, courses, or self-improvement routines that keep you consuming. We are told to be unique. But the moment we truly act differently, the system pushes back. It labels, isolates, and pressures us to return to the script. That's the great deception. You feel like you're in control, but the options were curated long before you even began. To see it clearly is the first step toward real freedom. Because once you start questioning, you begin to notice how much of what you believe was never really yours to begin with. And from that moment, everything begins to change. Let's talk about choice. The illusion that makes us believe we're free. You walk into a supermarket and you see hundreds of products. Cereal in every flavor, color, and label. Organic, sugar-free, high-protein, gluten-free, chocolate-coated. It feels like freedom. It feels like control. But pause for a second. Who decided these were your choices in the first place? You didn't plant the grain. You didn't design the packaging. You didn't even question if cereal was the best breakfast for you. You just picked from what was already chosen for you. That's the blueprint of modern freedom. It gives you variety, not autonomy. It gives you an illusion of choice. While the real decisions, the ones that shape the world, are made somewhere else. We are told that we can be anything. We can live however we choose. But every choice we're given is filtered through systems of profit, culture, and control. Want to follow your passion? You'll soon be told to monetize it. Want to live simply? There's a lifestyle brand waiting to sell it to you. Every authentic impulse gets packaged, priced, and sold back to you. Even rebellion comes with a logo now. And while you think you're making free decisions, you're just walking paths already paved for you by people you'll never meet. Modern choice is like a children's menu. Colorful, appealing, and safe, but still limited to what the adults decided was acceptable. We see this in our careers too. You can be a doctor, lawyer, engineer, influencer, or entrepreneur, but step outside the economic script, and suddenly, your dreams are unrealistic. You can be whoever you want, as long as the system can make money from it. That's not freedom. That's managed permission. Even your opinions aren't entirely yours. You're free to say what you think, but only within the boundaries of what's socially acceptable. Step outside the Overton window, the narrow range of acceptable ideas, and you'll face rejection, censorship, or silence. We're free to speak, but not always free to be heard. We're free to think, but not always free to question. And when you live long enough inside these invisible walls, you forget they exist. You begin to mistake the walls for the world. That's how powerful the illusion is. You feel empowered because you can choose between 1,000 brands. But real freedom isn't in choosing the brand. It's in asking why brands define your life at all. Freedom isn't in how many things you can buy, but in how deeply you can question the need to buy them. The modern system doesn't control through fear anymore. It controls through comfort, distraction, and false freedom. It tells you that you're choosing, when really, you're being guided, softly, quietly, invisibly. So the next time you feel like you're making a choice, ask yourself, did I truly decide this? Or was I led here? Because true freedom doesn't start with options. It starts with awareness. And awareness begins when you stop mistaking the menu for the meal. Welcome to the productivity trap, a world where your value is measured by how much you can produce. We live in a time where busyness has become a badge of honor. People brag about having no time. We glorify the grind, the hustle, the sleepless nights. We celebrate exhaustion and call it ambition. But behind the noise of progress hides a quiet truth. We've mistaken movement for meaning. From the moment you wake up, the race begins. You check your phone, see others achieving more, and instantly feel behind. Before you even brush your teeth, you're already chasing the day. The world whispers, you're not doing enough. And so you push harder. You chase goals, deadlines, and dreams that never seem to end. Because in this system, your worth depends on your output. But who decided that? Who said your value as a human being is tied to how busy you are? Since childhood, we've been trained to perform. Good grades, gold stars, promotions, likes, shares. We learned early that being enough meant producing more, achieving more, earning more. We built our identities around performance. The more we do, the more we believe we matter. And slowly, without realizing it, we became machines wearing human skin. Even our rest has been monetized. Reading a book? Make it productive. Going for a walk? Track your steps. Relaxing? Call it self-improvement. We can't just be anymore. We have to optimize. We live in a world where doing nothing feels like failure. And yet, doing everything feels empty. That's the trap. The treadmill never stops. The bar keeps moving. Every achievement only leads to another demand. And peace always stays just out of reach. Because the system isn't built to give you peace. It's built to keep you striving. Buying more, achieving more, wanting more. It's not just an economic design. It's psychological. The more insecure you feel, the more you'll work to prove yourself. And the more you work, the more the system thrives. It's a perfect cycle of quiet control. One that doesn't require force. Just a steady stream of comparison and guilt. Even rest feels wrong now. If you're not moving forward, you feel like you're falling behind. If you stop, you feel useless. But you're not lazy. You're just tired of performing. You were never meant to operate at full capacity every hour of every day. Nature doesn't bloom all year long. So why should you? You're not a machine. You're a human being, meant to rest, reflect, and renew. The irony is, the more we chase productivity, the less we actually live. We fill our calendars, but empty our souls. We gain efficiency, but lose connection. We stay busy, but never feel fulfilled. Maybe the real rebellion isn't to do more. Maybe it's to stop, to breathe, to remember that your existence doesn't need justification. You don't have to earn rest. You don't have to prove your worth through motion. You are enough, even when you're still. Because freedom isn't found in endless doing. It's found in the courage to pause. In a world that never does. Who are you? It's a simple question, but try to answer it. And you'll notice how quickly your mind reaches for labels. I'm a student. I'm a manager. I'm a parent. I'm creative. I'm introverted. I'm ambitious. We speak in roles and traits as if they fully define us. But where did these identities come from? Did we truly choose them? Or were they handed to us, like uniforms on the first day of school? From the moment you're born, the world starts shaping who you're supposed to be. Your gender is assigned. Your culture is given. Your name is repeated until it becomes a mirror. And before you even understand choice, you're already learning the rules. What's praised, what's punished, what gets love. And you adapt. You learn to smile when it's expected. You learn to hide what's inconvenient. You become the version of yourself that gets accepted. The good child, the smart student, the hard worker. Bit by bit, the real you fades behind what's safe. The identity that fits neatly into society's script. But here's the thing. Identity isn't discovered. It's constructed. And in the modern world, we don't just build identities. We brand them. Social media, advertising, school systems. They don't just reflect who you are. They tell you who you should be. You scroll past filtered faces, perfect lifestyles, and curated happiness. And somewhere deep inside, a quiet voice whispers, should I look like that too? You buy clothes to say something about yourself. You choose gadgets, music, and even opinions that align with a certain image. Because identity has become performance. We don't just live, we curate. We don't just feel, we post. We don't just exist, we perform who we think we should be. And slowly, we forget the difference. The mask becomes the face. The role becomes the reality. You start living to be seen instead of to be real. You measure your worth through reactions, not reflection. You're not living your truth. You're maintaining your brand. And here's the tragedy. Most people never meet their true selves. They live and die inside identities, crafted for acceptance, not authenticity. But sometimes, in silence, in heartbreak, or in solitude, the mask slips. And for a brief moment, you see something raw, something real. That's the person you were before the world told you who to be. The one who didn't need applause to feel alive. The one who loved without calculation. The one who dreamed without fear. That's your true self. And it's still there, waiting to be remembered. It doesn't mean you must reject every role you've ever played. Some identities serve you, some help you grow. But when they start to cage you, when they silence your deeper questions, that's when it's time to ask, who am I without all this? Try this. Sit alone, no phone, no music, no distractions. Ask yourself, if no one was watching, what would I still care about? What would I stop doing? That's where your real identity begins to appear. Because you were never meant to be a brand. You were meant to be a being. And the most liberating journey you'll ever take is the one that leads you back to yourself. We love comfort, the soft bed, the hot shower, the fast delivery, the screen that gives us everything we want in seconds. And why wouldn't we? Comfort feels safe. It feels good. It feels like progress. But beneath that warm, familiar feeling hides something dangerous. Comfort can become a cage. Because comfort isn't neutral. It shapes us. It dulls our edges. It numbs the instincts that drive growth. Look around. Every modern innovation is designed to remove friction. Why walk when you can ride? Why cook when you can order? Why think deeply when you can scroll? In the name of efficiency, we've traded challenge for convenience. We've replaced depth with ease. And we call it evolution. But friction is where growth happens. It's where muscles form, minds expand, and spirits evolve. When everything is easy, nothing truly changes. When everything is instant, nothing feels meaningful. The illusion of comfort tells you you're thriving, when you're actually just surviving in a padded room. We've made life easier, but not fuller. Everything is convenient, except the things that matter. Love still takes effort. Truth still hurts. Growth still demands discomfort. But we've built a world that avoids pain at all costs. We reach for our phones instead of our thoughts. We distract ourselves instead of feeling. We stay comfortable instead of confronting what's real. And in doing so, we lose something vital, our tolerance for life itself. We can't sit in silence. We can't wait. We can't stand being bored. We've become addicted to stimulation, dopamine on demand. Even a moment without noise feels like withdrawal. And in that silence, we might hear something we've long ignored, our own emptiness. Comfort doesn't just protect us from pain. It protects us from awareness. Why reflect when you can binge? Why question when you can scroll? Why face yourself when distraction is one tap away? That's the real danger. Not that comfort makes us lazy, but that it makes us content with less than we're capable of. You stop dreaming, not because you don't want more, but because what you have feels good enough. You stop fighting, not because you've won, but because the couch is too soft, and the screen is too bright, and the system loves that. Because a comfortable population is an obedient one. People who are fed, entertained, and distracted don't question much. They don't rebel. They don't wake up. Comfort smooths the rough edges of rebellion until all that's left is quiet compliance. So no, comfort isn't evil, but unquestioned comfort, that's a slow poison. It lulls you to sleep while life passes quietly outside your window. The antidote: choose discomfort deliberately. Do hard things, not for reward, but to remember what you're made of. Sit in silence. Face boredom. Challenge convenience. Ask hard questions. Because real life, the raw, unpredictable, vibrant kind, lives just beyond the edge of comfort. And maybe, just maybe, the life you're meant for is hiding in the very place you've been avoiding the most. It's strange, isn't it? The world has never been louder, yet people have never felt emptier. You open your phone, and instantly you're surrounded. Voices, opinions, music, laughter, anger, chaos. Everything screams for your attention. But deep down, there's silence. A quiet ache. A hollow space that no amount of noise can fill. We live in an age where everyone is connected. Yet loneliness is the new epidemic. We scroll through a million faces, but rarely look anyone in the eyes. We post every moment of our lives, but can't remember the last time we felt alive. It's not the lack of connection that hurts. It's the lack of meaning in the connection. We talk, but don't listen. We share, but don't understand. We exist together, but live apart. And maybe that's because modern life teaches us to appear, not to be. We curate ourselves like brands, filtering out the messy, the raw, the real. We perform happiness, even when we're breaking inside. And slowly, the line between who we are and who we pretend to be begins to blur. You start to believe the mask. You start to forget your own voice. And before long, you're just another echo in the noise. But silence, real silence, terrifies us. Because in silence, You can finally hear yourself. You can hear the thoughts you've buried, the truths you've ignored, the dreams you've postponed. That silence asks questions you don't always want to answer. Why am I doing this? Who am I trying to impress? What do I actually want? And when you can't face those questions, you reach for the noise again. A song, a video, a notification, anything to drown the stillness. We've confused distraction with living. We've mistaken stimulation for joy. And in the process, we've lost the ability to just be, to sit in our own presence, without needing to perform, to exist without needing to explain, to breathe without needing to broadcast it. That's the quiet emptiness of modern life. We've filled every second with something, but left no room for ourselves. And maybe that's why we feel so hollow. Because you can't build a real life on top of noise. You need stillness. You need space. You need time. Not everything meaningful moves fast. Not every silence means something's missing. Sometimes the quiet is the beginning of truth returning. So maybe the question isn't, how do I fill the emptiness? Maybe it's, what if I stopped running from it? Because what we call emptiness might just be the space where the real you is trying to come back to life. There comes a point, a quiet, almost invisible moment, when something inside you begins to wake up. It's not dramatic. It's not loud. It's not a movie scene. It's subtle, a shift, a whisper, a soft realization that something isn't right. You look at the life you've been living, the screens, the routines, the endless performance, and it suddenly feels fake, like you've been moving, but not living. You start asking dangerous questions. What if success isn't what I thought it was? What if peace doesn't come from more? What if I've been running in the wrong direction? And for the first time, you stop chasing and start feeling. That's the beginning of awakening. It's not about rejecting the world. It's about seeing through it. You realize that the system was never designed to make you whole, only to keep you busy. You start noticing the lies, the ones that say you must always achieve, always buy, always prove yourself to deserve love. And suddenly, you don't want to play that game anymore because you see what it's cost you. Your presence, your peace, your soul. Awakening is uncomfortable at first. It feels like losing everything you once believed in. But slowly, you begin to feel something deeper. Freedom. Freedom from comparison. Freedom from pressure. Freedom from pretending. You realize you don't need to be perfect. You just need to be true. And that truth doesn't come from books, or social media quotes, or someone else's idea of enlightenment. It comes from silence, from slowing down, from sitting with your own life. Until it finally starts making sense, you begin to crave simplicity, real conversations, unfiltered laughter, moments that don't need to be captured to be real. You start noticing beauty in things you once overlooked. The morning light on your wall, the sound of rain, the warmth of a breath you didn't rush through. And you realize life was never hiding. You were, all along. It was waiting for you to stop chasing illusions and come home to yourself. This awakening isn't about escaping the world. It's about learning to move through it with open eyes and an anchored heart, to see the chaos, but not become it, to feel the noise, but not lose your quiet. It's remembering that being human was never meant to be a performance. It was meant to be an experience. Raw, messy, beautiful, real. And maybe the moment you stop trying to fix yourself is the moment you finally begin to heal. Reconnection. It sounds simple, but in a world that rewards numbness, learning to feel again is an act of rebellion. After years of noise and distraction, you begin to crave something real. Not virtual, not filtered, not performed, just real. You start wanting to see people, not their profiles, not their highlight reels, but their tired eyes, their shaky hands, their truth. You start craving honesty over aesthetics, depth over comfort, presence over perfection. That's what reconnection is. It's not about finding new people. It's about finding yourself among people again. Because somewhere along the way, we all forgot how to feel. We learned to smile when we're sad, to say, I'm fine when we're breaking, to scroll instead of speak, to hide instead of heal. But when you start reconnecting, the armor begins to crack. You begin to cry again, not out of weakness, but because you finally feel safe enough to. You begin to love again, not because it's perfect, but because you realize love isn't meant to be safe. It's meant to be alive. You begin to forgive yourself, your past, the people who didn't know better. You start seeing others differently, not as competition, not as strangers, but as mirrors, reflections of the same struggle. the same hope, the same search for meaning. And that's when something powerful happens. The world stops feeling like a battlefield and starts feeling like a home again. Because you're no longer trying to win. You're trying to connect. You talk slower. You listen more. You laugh easier. You judge less. You realize that peace isn't something you achieve. It's something you allow. And love isn't something you earn. It's something you remember. Reconnection doesn't happen through grand gestures. It happens in small moments of awareness. The way sunlight touches your face. The sound of someone saying your name. The feeling of your heart still beating after everything. You start to understand that being human was never about control. It was about surrender. To life. To emotion. To imperfection. You stop trying to fix every flaw. And instead, you start to embrace them. Because maybe your cracks aren't signs of failure. Maybe they're proof that light still finds its way in. Reconnection is remembering that you're not broken. You're just unfinished. You're still becoming. And in that becoming, you find the one thing society can't sell you, can't distract you from, and can't take away. Your soul. Wholeness. It's what we were searching for all along. Not success. Not perfection. Not approval. Just the quiet feeling of being at peace with ourselves. But the world taught us to chase everything but that. We were told that happiness was something to earn. That love was something to prove. That peace was something to find one day, when everything else finally made sense. But maybe wholeness isn't waiting at the end of the race. Maybe it's what you find when you finally stop running. You realize you don't need to escape life. You just need to see it differently. The noise will always be there. The distractions, the endless scroll, the voices telling you to do more, be more, want more. But somewhere deeper, there's a quieter voice. It whispers in the stillness. It speaks when you slow down. It says, "You're already enough." That's what the great deception of modern society really is. It makes you believe you're incomplete. So you'll keep chasing the things that profit from your emptiness. But the truth? You were never missing anything. You just forgot how to look within. Wholeness isn't a reward. It's a return. A homecoming. It's the moment you remember that. You can be both light and shadow, strong and scared, lost and still worthy of love. You stop dividing yourself into good and bad. You stop fighting to be perfect. You start existing, fully, honestly, unapologetically. You start seeing beauty in imperfection. You start finding meaning in ordinary days. You start feeling alive again. Not because life got easier, but because you finally stopped hiding from it. And that's the real revolution. To live awake in a world that wants you asleep. To stay kind in a system built on ego. To choose presence over distraction. To remain human in a world that keeps trying to turn you into a machine. You don't need to delete everything, or escape to the mountains, or become someone new. You just need to remember who you were before the world told you who to be. Wholeness is not about becoming perfect. It's about coming home, to your breath, to your truth, to your heart. Because once you do, the deception loses its power. The noise fades, the illusion breaks, and in the silence that follows, you finally meet yourself again. Not the version you created for the world, but the one that's been waiting quietly for you to return.